Hi, I'm Stacey Galandi, the host of the Women's Eye podcast, where you will see and hear from fascinating women who are taking charge, empowering lives, and making a difference. Like my guest today, Maggie Doyne. Maggie is definitely a member of the Women's Eye family. Now, we first met her about 10 years ago. Last interview with her was in 2017. She's in the our book, 20 Women Changemakers. We have so much to catch up on. Welcome back, Maggie. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. It's so good to be back.
It's a fast 5 years and so much has happened to you in that time.
So much.
I can't even imagine, but we'll get to that in just a second because I want to brag all about you. Now, Maggie Doyne is the founder of both Kopila Valley Children's Home and School for homeless and abused children in Nepal, and BlinkNow, a nonprofit that provides free education to over 400 students. Now, her work has earned her numerous accolades and honors, including CNN's Hero of the Year in 2015. I mean, she knows the Dalai Lama. She's chief executive mom to hundreds of children, mom to 2 kids of her own, and Maggie just gave birth to her very first book, Between the Mountain and the Sky, a mother's story of love, loss, healing, and hope. And one reviewer even says she's a modern day Mother Teresa. So what do you think about that?
It's definitely that's a humble comparison. I'm just honored that it's getting such good, good talk about hope and love and taking care of our human family, because that was the goal of writing the book. And it's wonderful to see people just appreciating it in a time of such, just turmoil. And it's hard to feel hopeful about the world right now. We've got a lot at our plates. Yeah,
absolutely. And then somebody said, this is the book that the world needs right now. Do you agree with that on some level? Because it's a book about hope and joy and everything in between.
I think we're at this turning point where we just have to unite and figure this out for our children and start agreeing on things and looking towards a world that's more peaceful and better for our children. And, it's, if you ever have any doubt, I say this in the book, but you just look into the face of a child and they're worth fighting for. And I think we can do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for people who aren't familiar with your story, Maggie, explain how, as a teenager, you took a gap year from New Jersey, ended up in Nepal, and basically the face of a young girl named Hema changed your life, right?
Exactly right. That's how
in a nutshell.
Yeah, Nepal, it was 2005. I was this girl from New Jersey. I met a friend who was a Nepali refugee, and we decided to go to Nepal. And I was walking across this dry riverbed, and Hema, a little girl who was breaking rocks for a living and kind of rifling through the garbage, looking for something to sell or eat, locked eyes with me. And she said, "Namaste, Didi." And it was at that point that I was like, I just have to figure this out. I have to do something. We're both the same. Me from New Jersey with every opportunity in the world and all of my own privilege. And this girl who was just a victim of where she was born and and the family she was born into, right? So much of it's a lottery. And I decided to stay, and I've been living there for 17, 18 years now. And a lot of me grew up there. And
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it was something you have said, that it was something you needed to learn about yourself. So many years later now, do you feel that you found what you were looking for?
I learned so much. Look at the wrinkles in the back under my eyes.
I was just going to say, you still look like a teenager.
No, I've learned so much, and I feel really grateful I found work that I was passionate about. I don't know, as a teenager in New Jersey, you're kind of like force-fed this idea of college and success and, the fast track. And I just needed to take a step back and figure out my purpose. And I, on that journey, kind of discovered that I wanted to work with children and work in development and try to take this war-torn region of Nepal and work with and in partnership with the local people and try to turn it around. And that came with a lot of naivete, I guess.
I know, it's like you were young and you're thinking like, hey, how hard could this be, right?
We can do better than this. Like, I had been seeing orphanages and there were these dark, dismal, horrific places. And I was like, we can do better than that. And we can do better than this. And it's not that complicated. And the truth is that it isn't all that complicated, you know, like we just need love and to take care and nurture our children. And, but as you know, a lot has happened in that many years. And I think I'm really proud of the work we've created in the model for sustainable community-based development. But it came with a lot of learning, a lot of loss, a lot of kind of my own coming of age that happened in Nepal, lots of cultural differences. And the book is very much about that.
I was going to say, yeah, because it's you said coming of age. It really is. This isn't a how-to book on how to start an orphanage in Nepal. I mean, that's certainly a part of it, but this is about your growth, but also the lives that you have touched. Mm-hmm. So how far have you come, do you think?
Well, I mean, the kids who initially came into our program, that little girl, Hema, who was on the riverbed, is now in college and university. She's actually becoming a chef.
Oh, wow.
She's in hospitality school, and our children are becoming doctors and engineers and educators and social workers. And, you know, raising children is a long-term commitment and investment, and a lot happens, but all these years in, and as you see kind of at the end of the story, they're off and they're in the world and they've completely changed and shifted the trajectory of their lives and their families and their communities. And you really see that education is the great change maker in all of it, and opportunity. And so many good things happen just from a simple investment in a child. They do the rest, you know, they do the rest. It's just getting
you gave them that assist. You know, you really did. I mean, you've empowered how many children do you think in the last 15 years?
Thousands now. Our work has touched and impacted thousands of children and families.
Yeah, I underestimated. I said hundreds, but you're saying thousands.
And really, I think the difference, and in the story, I tried to write this, but it wasn't just me. It became about a community creating a community that was a better place for children. And I think that's really the beauty of the story. My co-founder, Taupe, a team of social workers, a team of teachers, a team of aunties and uncles and neighbors and, you know, local tradespeople, politicians, everybody just coming together thinking we can do better than this. And I think that's the inspiring part of it all, is that it wasn't about me and this girl in a backpack going 8,000 miles away. It became a community effort.
Yeah, it came so much bigger than what you had. I mean, look, yeah, it's just this ripple effect of what you've created. Is that why you wanted to write the book? Was it something that you needed this cathartic kind of thing to just get it out there because of everything that you went through, and maybe touch on some of those things that you've experienced, the highs and the lows?
Yeah, I've always been writing, like you said, as like a part of my own journey. I've always kept a diary. In motherhood, it's so complicated. And I just always kind of would jot down little stories and little things that happened over the years. And the initial goal is that I wanted something to pass on to my children, and a piece of their own history. They lost so much of their own families and their own kind of history, and I wanted something to be able to hand to them. But also I realized that in the press, the story was told from like this very one-dimensional angle of like, girl from New Jersey with a backpack, she goes and blah, 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 blah. And then thousands of kids are educated and women are changed. And it was very—
it's on the surface, right? It was too, yeah.
And there was so much more to the story that was I felt like left out, that I had the luxury and I'm so grateful, the opportunity to be able to get it down on paper, and the different complexities. And, I've lost children tragically to death and all of this. There were points when the community did not support our work, and there were things that were just so incredibly hard to navigate as an outsider, and how we reconciled that. And it just goes so much deeper, falling in love and the complexities of falling in love, and bringing like another person into the situation. Like, so many years people be like, you're never going to meet anyone, how are you ever going to find someone? And then I did, and that story is in there. And then just biological motherhood versus adoptive motherhood. And as you know, the end of the story, I had a baby of biological birth. And so there's so much.
Yeah. Little Ruby Sunshine. And then you just gave birth to Everest. Was that 9 months ago? No.
Yeah, he's only 3 months old.
3 months. Oh my gosh, I've already aged him.
3 months old. And yeah, we were in North America for the birth, and are headed back to Nepal in June, bringing our whole family. And now we're a family of 4, adding to a family of 60. So
see, that's the thing, because now because different times we've talked with you, there's been a different number of kids, that are at the home and the school. And was that a good training for you? Because I mean, you've been parenting since you were 19 years old, and still love it.
I still think it's the greatest gift in the world. I still love it. It's what I live for. I think I'm really lucky that I've gotten to see so many different dimensions of motherhood. And I almost feel like having another baby just now with kids. Actually, my kids from college are coming to visit me this week on spring break, and just the two, right? Like, I've got college, they're applying for jobs, and I'm looking over their resumes and helping them with interviews. And then I'm holding this newborn baby nursing, and I love it all. It's all such a gift. Yeah.
I mean, is that something too that you always wanted to have children? Biologically.
Yeah, I didn't know what was in store for me. I felt like I was enough. I felt whole. I felt complete. Obviously, like, I would think I had 58 kids already by the time Ruby and Jeremy came into my life. But then it happened right away, and obviously I got on board and I'm excited. And yeah, no, it's all been just adding to this crazy experience of life, right?
Well, and I know it's interesting too, because I know, I mean, you are very open and wear your emotions on your sleeve. And I think that's why people just really gravitate to you, because you are so authentic, but you wrote that this book was very hard to write. I mean, that was something you shared on Instagram. Why? And then of course, doing the audiobook. I mean, that's hard enough as it is just to do that, but you're speaking in your own voice, Why was this so difficult for you?
Good question. It was really hard to write. It was just emotionally grueling. The book is written in the present tense. So even just reading the audio, it was like reliving scenes of human trafficking or, just loss and trauma. And I've endured like a lot of trauma firsthand, but also just living vicariously through the kids. The worst things in the world have happened by the time the kids come our way. And in my youth, especially, it was just so hard to not take it all on and feel hopeless and feel the sense of despair and just depression and like just at a complete loss. Like, the problems are just too much. And so writing it and kind of reliving a lot of that trauma was really hard, but it was also really healing. It was like the best kind of cognitive behavioral therapy, I guess. You're just like, you're just like, oh, I was reading it and it was interesting. Like, the producer was through glass, because you're just in this little cubicle on your own. And we're just looking at each other after every chapter being like, oh, it's gonna be okay. Is it gonna be okay? And then she's like, you got married. We got married. We're having a baby. Like, it was just, it's so visceral, right? And
that's the thing. I mean, and again, it's the extreme highs and then the devastating lows. that's the thing. I mean, do you feel though that you had to go through all of those things in order to be where you are today? And that, I guess, comes with the territory.
Yeah,
In some
I
way.
also think it's the essence of life, right? Nobody gets a free pass. Nobody gets an easy, doesn't matter how privileged you are or where you come from. Life is this, messy puddle of the greatest joys, the greatest love, what a gift to be alive, and just this incredible heartbreak.
Mm.
And I think in my own life experience, mine is even more like polarized and intense, and just choosing that life and choosing to live in Nepal. But you feel that in the book. You're just like, oh my God, one more bad thing. Seriously. At one point, my co-writer Shannon and I were just like, this is feeling like a death spiral roller coaster. We got to something. What are we going to do? But you'll see in the end, we try to leave readers, young adult readers, just everyone with this sense of like, we don't have to accept status quo. We can go out and we can do something one step at a time. Yeah, one child at a time.
Exactly, because you said about young adult, and I think I read somewhere that you said the dream of all dreams is to get this in the hands of teens. Why is that, do you think?
I just look at my own teen life and growing up in the suburbs of New Jersey with every opportunity in the world, playing soccer and coaches and a really great public school, a mom and a dad and sisters and a dog and a trampoline. And I didn't recognize the opportunity that I had to give back. And I think with all these gifts that some of us are granted and given comes an immense responsibility and a job to give back to the rest. If you can choose if you want to get married, when you want to get married, if you're not forced into domestic servitude or child labor, if you have a chance at finishing 8th grade, we're like the top 1% in the world as women. If we can read and write and hold a job, like it just comes with this. It's now our duty and our responsibility, if we want to make this world better, to give back. And I want kids to learn that lesson young and launch into life with that feeling.
Yeah, because it's so empowering, and it's I think is there a message basically that we can and do have within us to change the world, right? I mean, I know there's obstacles, but that's ultimately your message, do you think?
Yeah, we can all do something. We can all take that first step. We can all, I think we can either give up and be like, that's it. The end of humanity, we're done. The environment, politics, the oceans, the animals,
pandemic, war. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Or we can say, you know what, let's anchor ourselves in human love and human connection and unite and hold hands and join together. And there is so much good news too, right? Like, you see the other side of our humanity, and it's magical and powerful, and we can do this. I believe that we can do this in our lifetime.
How important is it, do you think, to take your children, you and Jeremy, your husband, and taking Ruby and Everest and going into Nepal and having them raised in that environment as well as being here in the States?
Well, I love it. We're so lucky that we've been so warmly embraced by the Nepali community, and we can live there because Nepal's just one of the most beautiful places on earth. And
someday.
Yeah. And when we made the choice to have biological children, it really came from a place of, we don't want them to miss all of this. We want them to know their older brothers and sisters, and this beautiful country, this beautiful culture, this beautiful way of being. Nepal is one of my favorite places on earth, and I'm so grateful I get to be there.
What do you need? What does BlinkNow need in terms of like BlinkNow is what is it doing, and also what does it need to continue? How can we help?
We'd love for you to follow along on our journey at blinknow.org. We're on Instagram, we're on social. You can become a Roots member for as little as $1 a month. It supports a kid and their meals and their education. We're constantly fundraising, but we're looking for mentors. There's volunteer opportunities. There's just so many ways to get involved.
That's great. And like, I don't know, 10 years from now, more children biologically for you, do you think? Or are you
no,
done?
I'm done. But
Two and done.
I think we have 6 new kids coming into our home in Kopila in
Oh,
2 months, and we've gotten new babies, and we have 25 kids from the home out in college and in jobs around the world and doing cool things and graduates. And I think it's a new beginning.
yeah. Somewhere in there is a new president, perhaps, or do you know what I mean? Like I can just what you have done, what you all have done for these kids, it's just that little break. I wanted to ask you now that you have this book, you have a documentary. Are you doing another documentary, or is it I wasn't sure if Jeremy is working on another one.
Jeremy's editing a documentary now as we speak, and it will hopefully be out into the ethers in the next year or two. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Just yet another thing on your plate, right? But got a book, but then there's going to be a movie. So who's going to play you in the movie?
Oh, I have.
Or maybe you could play yourself.
I have no idea. That would be amazing, though. That would be absolutely amazing if it did become a movie. I'd be all in. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think about that.
Yeah. We'll check back in with you on that. So just one last question. If you did have your wish, in the perfect world, what would you like to see?
For every child to be safe and educated and loved. Every single child. I think we can create a world like that.
That's fantastic. Oh, Maggie, thank you so much. You are an angel. You get tired of being told that?
No, it's the kids. It's the kids and the team. They're the angels and the heroes.
You're all just doing phenomenal work. So I thank you so much for joining us again. So now if you want to learn more about Maggie Doyne, BlinkNow, her book, Between the Mountain and the Sky, just go to our website, thewomenseye.com. And real quick, I also want to say you can also find our books, 20 Women Changemakers, again, featuring Maggie Doyne. You can shop for it wherever you buy books and at changemakersbook.com. And also our newest book, 20 Women Storytellers, is out now, and you can find more about it at womensstorytellersbook.com. Well, thank you for tuning into the Women's Eye podcast. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. I'm Stacey Galandi. Remember, it's the world as we see it.